guys, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, home of all things stock, investment, and personal finance related. Now for today's video, we're going to be providing an update on none other than Bitfarms Ltd and some big news that really shook the market this week in regards to their hold on for dear life strategy. Now before we get into it, please take a second, hit the like button, you guys. It's a huge help to myself and the channel. If you're not already subscribed, McNallie Money, feel free to do so. And let me know in the comment section below what you think about this move from Bitfarms, if you're holding the company, and how you think they stack up to some of the other players that we've covered on the channel previously. Now with that being said, let's get into today's video. Okay guys, so that's right. Today's video, we're going to be covering two huge pieces of news that just recently came out in relation to Bitfarms Ltd. Now, as many of you know who've been following this channel, Bitfarms along with huddle Mining are two of my biggest positions in the market right now, both in terms of actual shares and call option contracts. Now, obviously with the dip in Bitcoin or the recent volatility in the crypto market, I'm underwater on these positions, but I do think we're getting close to the bottom. And I really think for the long-term investors, you're being presented with a great opportunity to acquire shares of these crypto mining companies at rock bottom prices. Now, as you can see here, this is as of Tuesday, June 21st. Bitfarms Ltd was up 3.5% on the day to close out at $1.80 Canadian, trades under the ticker symbol BITF on the Toronto Stock Exchange and the same ticker on the NASDAQ exchange in the United States. And based on this close, we're now sitting at a market cap of about $365 million Canadian. Now, as I alluded to a couple of seconds ago, over the last 6 months, you can see this was the start of the year or end of December of 2021. Bitfarms was trading in the neighborhood of about $7.50 to $8 Canadian, and it's been downward trending heavily ever since. So you're now able to pick up shares at a fraction of what you could have only a couple of months ago, and that's exactly why I'm aggressively buying both of these companies over the last few weeks. Now, in relation to the big news here, you guys, I do need to give you a heads up. I was not super excited to see this news. It really contradicts Bitfarms' hold on for dear life strategy or HODL strategy that we've talked about on the channel. And with that being said, let's jump right into it. Now, the first of these two articles actually came out last week, so Friday, June 17th, and you can see Bitfarms executes a strategic action to increase their financial flexibility. And what that really means is two things. Number one, they've entered new equipment financing agreement with NYDIG or NYDIG for $37 million US. And secondly, they've actually reduced their existing $100 million Bitcoin-backed credit facility to $66 million. So they actually paid off $34 million of that credit facility through the sale of Bitcoin. So essentially what they did here is a swap. They entered into a new equipment financing agreement of $37 million US with NYDIG, and at the same time they paid off $34 million of their credit facility with Galaxy Digital Limited Liability Corporation via the sale of 1,500 of their Bitcoin holdings that were previously in their reserve. So on the plus side here, you guys, and as you can see from the CFO, they've proactively taken non-dilutive strategic actions to increase their financial liquidity and flexibility, so they didn't have to issue additional shares or dilute existing shareholders. And the other thing that's nice here is they actually get some benefits in terms of interest because the new loan here or credit facility with NYDIG is actually at a better or more favorable interest rate. Now, the big problem I see or the negative with this is they're selling 1,500 of their Bitcoin at extremely low prices. And up until this point in time, Bitfarms Ltd had held on to or maintained a hold on for dear life strategy, very similar to what we've seen with huddle Mining. The consensus or the message to the street was we're not going to sell this Bitcoin. We're going to hold on to this and wait until prices return or we get more favorable selling conditions. And obviously that's no longer the case. They've been forced to liquidate 1,500 Bitcoin. And again, as we're going to see in the next article, really didn't get a great price on this sale. Now, in terms of the details around this new financing facility, the NYDIG equipment financing provides non-dilutive funding of the Bitfarms miners to support their growth in Quebec, so they continue to build out these new mining facilities. The agreement provides equipment financing at an interest rate of 12% per annum, collateralized or backed up by the miners at the company's ledger and bunker facilities. So they're essentially using their mining equipment as collateral for this loan. Now, the initial funding came out to $37 million US, or about $36 million after the $740,000 they had to pay in closing costs. And it should be noted that this latest announcement or equipment financing is distinct or separate from the previously announced $32 million US equipment financing agreement with BlockFi Lending. And speaking of BlockFi, there's a link in the video description below if you're looking to get involved with the crypto market. Maybe you've already got some crypto and you want to earn interest. Take a look at the affiliate link below. It's a great way to get involved and actually earn some money on your crypto while you wait. Now, the second part of this article really talks about reducing their Bitcoin-backed credit facility. So initially it was $100 million US Bitcoin-backed credit facility. This has now been paid down to $66 million US through the sale of those 1,500 Bitcoin. This arrangement, again, is with Galaxy Digital, and in addition to lowering their interest expense, the $34 million reduction in borrowing gives the ability to utilize more of their Bitcoin holding strategy, as it frees up Bitcoin that would otherwise be used as collateral towards this credit facility. So number one, they've paid down debt, they've reduced their interest exposure or overall costs, and because this Bitcoin no longer has to be held as collateral towards this loan, they can now utilize that towards other things like staking or generating other forms of revenue for the company. So in any other situation, you guys, I would be a huge fan of this move. They're not diluting shareholders, they're paying down debt. But the problem with this move is the price of Bitcoin right now is so low, and Bitfarms refused to sell any Bitcoin when we were in the $60,000 US range, the $50,000, $40,000, $30,000, and now they've decided to start selling Bitcoin at around $20,000 US, which again doesn't make a lot of sense for the company long term. So overall, not very happy with this move, but I think honestly it's out of desperation. They're still making a profit on the Bitcoin that they're mining, but again, as a long-term investor in this company, I definitely would have preferred they held on to this Bitcoin and waited a little bit longer for prices to recover. And I should note, back in January, Bitfarms actually purchased 1,000 Bitcoin off the open market for a total of $43.2 million US, or an average price of about $43,000 US per Bitcoin. So essentially what they're doing is buying high and selling low, which we know is the exact opposite of what you want to do in the financial markets. They bought Bitcoin for $43,000 US, and they're now turning around and selling it for close to $20,000 US per Bitcoin. Now, the second article actually came out on Tuesday, June 21st, and this talks about Bitfarms adjusting their hold on for dear life strategy. So really an extension of the article we just covered there. So the big callouts or the action items from this article, they've now paid down their Bitcoin backed credit facility even further, so to $38 million US, again, from that initial $100 million we saw in the last article. They now hold only 3,349 Bitcoin. That's including their month-to-date production, meaning they've actually sold additional Bitcoin, and then they throw in the fact that they're now mining, or their daily production rate has increased to about 14 Bitcoin per day. So in the details of the article, you can see over the past week, Bitfarms has now sold a total of 3,000 Bitcoin, so double what we saw in the last article, not 1,500 anymore, but now 3,000 Bitcoin for the approximate value of $62 million US, and closed on its previously announced $37 million new equipment financing with NYDIG that we just talked about in that last article. So if you actually do the math here, you guys, $62 million US divided by 3,000 Bitcoins works out to just under $21,000 US per Bitcoin. So again, selling these Bitcoin at rock bottom prices compared to what they could have got just a couple of months ago when they had that hold on for dear life strategy. So a little bit of upside down thinking. Again, I understand the situation has changed. They need liquidity to continue to build out their farms. In the big picture here, you guys, if they're mining 14 Bitcoin per day, it's going to take them approximately 215 days to replace these 3,000 Bitcoin. If you divide that by 30 days in a month, you're only looking at about 7 months worth of production. So in the big picture, I don't think this is detrimental to the company. And if it fast tracks their ability to open up these new farms, bring on more computers, increase their hash rate, maybe it is the right move long term. But initially, my gut feeling here is why would you sell such a big portion of your reserve, about 50% of your Bitcoin reserve, at literally the lowest prices we've seen in years? Now, the CFO goes on to rationalize or explain, in consideration of the extreme volatility in the markets, we have continued to take action to enhance liquidity and to deleverage and strengthen our balance sheet. Specifically, they sold 1,500 more Bitcoin and are no longer hodling or holding on for dear life all of their daily Bitcoin production. While we remain bullish on the long-term Bitcoin price appreciation, this strategic change enables us to focus on our top priorities of maintaining our world-class mining operations and continuing to grow business in anticipation of improved mining economics. So a major strategic shift from Bitfarms Ltd. And as you can see, as of June 20th, they now hold cash of $42 million US and a total reserve of 3,349 Bitcoin, which is valued at approximately $67 million US. And if we jump over to CoinDesk, I wanted to really paint the picture very clearly for you guys here. This was back at the peak of Bitcoin in the middle of November, around $67,000 US. Bitfarms said, no, we're not going to sell. We're going to hodl here, hold on to all of our Bitcoin. Then we dropped into the $50,000 range. Again, they said, we're not going to sell. Into the 40,000 range, not going to sell. Into the 30,000s in the middle of May, not going to sell. And now just recently, as we've seen the dip in the middle of June here to the $20,000 range, this is where they're now deciding to sell. And again, getting a fraction of the price they could have only a couple of months ago. Now, to add insult to injury, and as we talked about in my last update on Hut 8 Mining, where we interviewed Sue Ennis, I would highly encourage you guys to go take a look. She specifically called out the fact that their company was the only publicly traded company to not sell any Bitcoin. And ironically enough, Hut 8 Mining's Twitter account tweeted out on June 21st, right after the news came from Bitfarms Ltd, keep calm and hold on for dear life, 7,078 Bitcoin and counting. So again, really poking fun at Bitfarms for the need to sell Bitcoin. And as Sue alluded to, a lot of companies really entered this crypto mining space in the bull market. They purchased their equipment at sky high prices. They're not set up to weather a downturn, and now they're being forced to sell. So for me, as a long-term investor in Hut 8 Mining, this is extremely bullish. Again, I haven't lost hope in Bitfarms. I think based on their hash rate and their production, they're going to be able to accumulate these Bitcoin back and eventually have a great reserve moving into 2023, 2024. But again, short term, this definitely was something I wasn't super excited to see. And obviously, I would have hoped they prepared a little bit better for the crypto winter that we're now starting to enter. So with that being said, you guys, I'd be super curious to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think about this move from the team at Bitfarms Ltd? Are you currently holding shares? How do you think they stack up to Hut 8 Mining? Let me know in the comment section below. I personally reply to each and every comment. If you're still watching the video at this point in time, hopefully you found some value, so make sure you hit the like button. And if you're not currently subscribed to the channel, McNallie Money, feel free to do so. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and that's all for now.